The Kilari science vessel Gentle Current drifted helplessly through the void, its elegant crystalline hull fractured in 17 places. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across the bridge where Senior Navigator Zefka clutched his control console with 4 trembling hands. The ship's organic neural network was dying, its soft bioluminescent panels flickering like a failing heartbeat. "Status report," Commander Velshaw whispered, her voice barely audible above the ship's labored breathing. The Kilari were a peaceful species, evolved from aquatic filter feeders on their garden world of Kila Prime. Their ships were grown rather than built, living creatures that bonded with their crews over decades of service. "Hull integrity at 32% and falling," reported Engineer Thixmo from his station. "The neural pathways are severing faster than the ship can regenerate. We have perhaps 6 cycles before complete system failure." The bridge fell silent except for the wet, gasping sounds of the ship's biological systems struggling to function. Through the transparent sections of the living hull, the crew could see the debris field that had once been their escort convoy. 7 ships had been reduced to scattered fragments by the raiders. Their crews lost to the cold embrace of space. Commander Velshaw floated to the communications array, her translucent fins rippling with desperation. "Open a channel on all emergency frequencies. Full spectrum broadcast." The communication officer's tentacles danced across the organic interface. "Channel open, Commander." Velshaw took a shuddering breath of the ship's filtered atmosphere. "This is Commander Velshaw of the Kilari Scientific Expedition aboard the vessel Gentle Current. We are requesting immediate assistance. Our convoy has been attacked by unknown raiders. We have multiple casualties and critical system failures. Our location is..." She paused to check the navigation display. Grid reference, Theta 77 Alpha in the Outer Rim territories. She closed her eyes, remembering the protocol for distress calls. "We are a peaceful research mission studying stellar formation in this region. We carry no weapons, no valuable cargo, only scientific equipment and cultural artifacts intended for the Galactic Museum. We are prepared to offer compensation for rescue services according to standard galactic maritime law." The message repeated automatically, broadcasting into the darkness on every frequency the dying ship could manage. The Kilari were well-respected members of the Galactic Council, known for their contributions to art, philosophy, and pure science. Surely someone would respond to their call. Hours passed in tense silence. The ship's condition continued to deteriorate, and several crew members had succumbed to their injuries despite the best efforts of the medical staff. The Gentle Current had been carrying 43 souls when the raiders struck. Now only 31 remained, and that number was dropping. "Commander," the communications officer called out, hope evident in his melodic voice. "We're receiving acknowledgments. Multiple ships are responding to our distress call." Velshaw rushed to the communications station, her heart analogs racing with relief. "How many? What species? How long until they arrive?" The officer's tentacles moved across his console, parsing the incoming signals. "I'm reading 7 different response signatures. The closest appears to be ... strange. I cannot identify the species profile. Their transmission is heavily encrypted, but they're broadcasting on emergency override codes." "Emergency override?" Velshaw frowned. "Those codes were reserved for Galactic Council enforcement vessels and medical ships. Can you decode their message?" Attempting to ... Wait, yes, here it is. The communication officer's skin patterns shifted to a confused swirl of colors. "The message is remarkably brief, Commander. It simply states, 'Kilari vessel, this is GSEV Indomitable Spirit. We have received your distress call. Maintain position. Help is coming, GSEV?'" Engineer Thixmo looked up from his desperate attempts to repair the ship's failing systems. "What does that designation mean?" The communications officer checked his databases. I cannot find that prefix in any of our records. It's not from any known Galactic Council member species." Commander Velshaw felt a chill run through her body despite the ship's warming systems. "What about the other responses?" Surely the Manthari or the Zelnak have vessels in this region? Negative, Commander. All 7 response signatures appear to be from the same unknown fleet. They're all using that same GSEV designation. The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. The Outer Rim territories were known for their lawlessness, populated by pirates, smugglers, and worse. It was entirely possible that whoever was responding to their distress call had less than charitable intentions. Commander, the sensor operator called out, his voice tight with anxiety. I'm detecting massive subspace distortions approaching our position. Whatever's coming. It's big? Very big. Velshaw moved to the sensor station and studied the readings. The displays showed energy signatures unlike anything in their databases. The approaching fleet was using a form of faster-than-light travel that the Kelari had never encountered, leaving distinctive ripples in space-time that spoke of tremendous power. How long until they arrive? She asked. At their current approach speed? Approximately 47 minutes. Velshaw nodded grimly. The gentle current might last that long, but it would be close. She turned to address her crew. All hands prepare for potential contact with unknown species. Maintain peaceful protocols? If they are hostile, we are in no condition to resist. Our only hope lies in diplomacy. The crew worked frantically to prepare for the arrival of their mysterious rescuers. Emergency medical kits were distributed, what remained of their cultural exchange gifts were gathered, and the ship's databases were prepared for immediate transmission in case. These newcomers proved hostile. As the minutes ticked by, the sensor readings became more alarming. The approaching fleet wasn't just large, it was massive beyond anything the Kelari had ever recorded. Each vessel in the fleet appeared to be several times larger than their largest scientific ships, and they were approaching in a tight formation that spoke of military discipline. Commander, the sensor operator reported, his voice now openly fearful. I'm reading energy emissions consistent with ... weapons, very powerful weapons. These are not civilian vessels. Velshaw's heart sank. They had called for help and attracted the attention of what appeared to be a war fleet. The Kelari had no experience with such things. Their society had been peaceful for over 3,000 cycles, settling disputes through discussion and compromise. Additional contacts incoming, the sensor operator announced. Multiple smaller vessels are detaching from the main fleet and approaching our position on an intercept course. Through the transparent hull sections, the crew could now see pinpricks of light growing brighter as the unknown ships approached. The engine signatures were unlike anything in their database, not the gentle, curved exhausts of Galactic Council vessels, but harsh, geometric plumes of superheated plasma that spoke of raw power and aggressive efficiency. They're hailing us, the communications officer announced. Put it through, Velshaw ordered. Smoothing her ceremonial robes and adopting the most diplomatic posture she could manage, the view screen activated. But instead of a clear visual signal, it showed only static and interference. The audio was clearer, carrying a voice that was harsh and alien, speaking in a language that the ship's translator struggled to parse. Kelari vessel. This is Commander Sarah Mitchell of the GSEV Indomitable Spirit. We are responding to your distress call. Please transmit your crew manifest and injury report immediately. The translator finally locked onto the language patterns, but the crew remained confused. The voice belonged to a species they had never encountered, speaking with clipped, military precision that was entirely unlike the flowing, artistic communication styles they were used to. This is Commander Velshaw of the scientific vessel Gentle Current, she replied carefully. We thank you for responding to our call. May we inquire as to your species' designation and purpose in this region? There was a pause before the response came. We are human, Commander Velshaw. Our purpose here is rescue and medical assistance. We're deploying boarding shuttles now. Prepare to receive emergency medical teams. Human? Velshaw looked at her crew in confusion. None of them had ever heard of such a species. Forgive me, but we are not familiar with your people. Are you affiliated with the Galactic Council? Another pause, longer this time. Negative, Commander. We are new to this region. Stand by for boarding. Our medical teams are equipped to handle most physiological types. Do not be alarmed by their appearance or equipment. The communication cut off, leaving the Kalari Bridge crew staring at each other in bewilderment. Through the hull, they could see small craft detaching from the larger vessels and moving toward their dying ship with purpose and speed. "Commander," Engineer Thixmo called out from his station. "These ... humans. They're using some form of matter transmission technology. I'm detecting quantum displacement beams targeting our hull." Velshaw had heard of such technology but had never seen it implemented. It was considered theoretically possible but prohibitively dangerous and energy-intensive. Yet these newcomers were using it as casually as the Kilari used their organic transport pods. Incoming transmission, the commu. Commander Velshaw entered Cargo Bay 7 with a mixture of hope and trepidation, supporting Engineer Thixmo, who had suffered severe internal injuries during the attack. What she saw inside stopped her cold, causing her to nearly drop her wounded friend. The cargo bay had been transformed into something that looked more like a military command center than a medical facility. The humans had deployed equipment that hummed with barely contained energy, and holographic displays showed three-dimensional models of Kilari, anatomy that were more detailed than anything in their own medical databases, but it was the humans themselves that shocked her most, even through their suits. They moved with a fluid predatory grace that spoke of strength and speed far beyond what any civilized species should possess. When one of them turned to look at her, she could see through the helmet's transparent faceplate to the features beneath. The human's eyes were forward-facing like a hunter's, set in a face that was angular and harsh compared to the soft, flowing features of her own people. "Commander Velshaw, I presume?" The human who had spoken was tall, even accounting for the suit, and when she moved closer, Velshaw had to fight the instinct to back away. "I'm Dr. Elena Vasquez. Please bring your injured crew member to the treatment table." Velshaw complied, helping Thixmo onto a surface that immediately began scanning him with beams of light she had never encountered. Within seconds, a three-dimensional image of his internal structure appeared in the air above them, showing the extent of his injuries in frightening detail. "Interesting physiology," Dr. Vasquez commented casually, her hands moving over controls that materialized at her touch. "Dual circulatory systems, cartilaginous skeletal structure, and what appears to be a distributed nervous network. We can work with this." Another human approached, carrying equipment that looked distinctly non-medical. "Doc, we've got the hull analysis complete." These organics took a pounding. "I count 17 major impact sites and the whole bio-neural network is cascade failing. Can you stabilize it?" Dr. Vasquez asked without looking away from her patient. "Already on it. Jenkins is splicing in nano-repair matrices at the major junction points. Should buy them a few weeks while the ship regenerates." Velshaw stared at the humans in disbelief. They were discussing her ship's failing systems as if they were routine problems with simple solutions. The bio-neural network was the most sophisticated organic computer system the Kilari had ever developed, and these aliens were treating it like a broken piece of common equipment. "Excuse me," she ventured carefully, "but how do you know so much about our technology? We have never encountered humans before." Dr. Vasquez looked up from her work, and Velshaw saw something that might have been amusement in those predatory eyes. "We've encountered organic ship designs before. Not exactly like yours, but similar principles. Your neural networks are actually quite elegant, reminds me of the mycelial ships from the Andromeda cluster." You've been to Andromeda?" Velshaw's voice was barely a whisper. The neighboring galaxy was so far away that it existed only in theoretical models to the Kilari. "We get around," was all Dr. Vasquez said before returning her attention to Thixmo more. Kilari arrived carrying their wounded, and Velshaw watched in amazement as the humans worked. They moved with perfect coordination, never getting in each other's way, communicating through subtle gestures and brief words that somehow conveyed complex information. It was like watching a school of fish move as one, except these were individuals with technology that seemed to border on magic. "Commander," called Senior Navigator Zefka from the bay entrance. "You need to see this. The sensor readings from their fleet, They don't make sense." Velshaw reluctantly left the medical bay and followed Zefka to the nearest sensor station. What she saw on the displays made her question everything she thought she knew about space travel and engineering. "This cannot be correct," she breathed. The human fleet consisted of 12 vessels, the smallest of which was larger than any ship the Galactic Council had ever constructed. But size wasn't what disturbed her most. It was what the sensors were telling her about their construction. These ships weren't grown like Kelari vessels, or crystallized like Manthari craft, or psychically shaped like Zelnak constructions. They were built from metals and composites, assembled from countless individual components into structures that somehow managed to be both massive and elegant. "Commander," Zefka said quietly, "these ships... they're designed for war. Look at these energy readings. Those aren't sensor arrays or communication dishes. They're weapons. Weapons more powerful than anything in our databases." "But they came to help us," Velshaw protested weakly. "Did they? Or did they come because they heard a distress call in their territory?" Before Velshaw could respond, a new voice came over the ship's communication system. It was the first human they had spoken to, Commander Mitchell. "Kelari vessel, this is the Indomitable Spirit. Our engineering teams are ready to begin hull repairs and neural network stabilization. We'll need access to your ship's core systems." Velshaw activated the communicator with a trembling hand. "Commander Mitchell, we appreciate your assistance, but our ship's core systems are... they are living tissue. Direct contact with unknown technology could kill the ship." "Understood, Commander. Our teams are experienced with biological systems. We'll use biocompatible interfaces and organic-safe materials. Your ship will be restored to full health." The casual confidence in the human's voice was almost as disturbing as the implications of her words. How many other organic ships had they encountered? How many other species? "Commander Mitchell, if I may ask, where exactly do humans come from? We have no record of your species in any of our databases." Pause. "We're from a planet called Earth, Commander. It's not in this galaxy. We're explorers, traders, and sometimes rescuers. Today, we're rescuers." "Not in this galaxy," Velshaw repeated numbly. "How did you get here?" "Very fast ships," was the reply. And Velshaw could swear she heard amusement in the human's voice over the next several hours. The Kelari crew watched in growing amazement and unease as the humans worked. Their technology seemed to violate half the known laws of physics, and their casual competence in dealing with alien biology and engineering suggested a breadth of experience that was almost frightening. Engineer Thixmo returned from the medical bay fully healed, his injuries completely repaired by methods that Dr. Vasquez had declined to explain in detail. "It's like they took me apart and put me back together, but better," he reported to Velshaw. "I feel stronger than I have in cycles." The ship itself was undergoing similar treatment. Human technicians moved through its organic corridors with machines that seemed to understand the vessel's biological processes better than its own crew. Neural pathways that had been severed were being reconnected. Hull fractures were being sealed with what appeared to be synthetic tissue, and failing organs were being repaired or replaced entirely. "Commander Velshaw," came Dr. Vasquez's voice over the intercom. "Could you join me in the medical bay? There's something you need to see." Velshaw found the doctor standing before a holographic display that showed a detailed analysis of Kelari physiology. But this wasn't the simple anatomical scan she had expected. It was a complete genetic and biochemical profile that revealed details about her species that she was certain no alien could know. "Doctor, how did you obtain this information?" "Blood samples from your injured crew members," Dr. Vasquez replied matter-of-factly. "We always run complete biological profiles during treatment. It helps us understand what we're working with. But this level of detail... this would take our best xenobiologist cycles to compile. We had it done in about 20 minutes. The doctor said with what Velshaw was beginning to recognize as typical human understatement. Which brings me to why I called you here. Dr. Vasquez manipulated the hologram, highlighting certain genetic markers. Your people are from what we would classify as a Class 7 garden world. Low gravity, stable climate, abundant resources, minimal geological activity. Am I correct? Yes, Kilo Prime was a paradise. Was? The raiders who attacked us, they were the advanced scouts for a larger force. Our homeworld is under siege. Dr. Vasquez nodded grimly. That explains the genetic markers. Your people evolved in a low-stress environment. You're adapted for cooperation, artistic expression, and intellectual pursuits. Physical conflict is completely outside your evolutionary experience. Velshaw felt a chill run through her. You speak as if you've encountered many species like us. We have. Garden world species are beautiful, intelligent, and creative. They're also... Dr. Vasquez paused, choosing her words carefully. They're vulnerable. The galaxy is not a gentle place, Commander. And humans? What kind of world do you come from? Dr. Vasquez was quiet for a long moment, studying the genetic display. When she finally spoke, her voice carried a weight that Velshaw had never heard from any member of her own species. Earth is what we call a Class 12 death world, Commander. High gravity, unstable climate, predators at every level of the food chain. Geological catastrophes, electromagnetic storms, radiation bombardment, and species competition that makes your raider problem look like a minor disagreement. Velshaw felt her legs give way and had to support. Commander Velshaw huddled in what had been designated as a secure area aboard the Gentle Current, surrounded by her terrified crew. Through the ship's organic sensors, they could feel the approaching raider fleet like a spreading infection in space. 28 vessels, all armed with weapons designed to disable and capture rather than destroy. The raiders wanted their prizes intact. All human personnel, this is Commander Mitchell, came the calm voice over the ship's communication system. Target analysis complete. We have 28 hostiles approaching in a standard pirate formation. Weapons are charged plasma cannons, ion disruptors, and boarding equipment. They're expecting to face a damaged science vessel with minimal defenses. Dr. Vasquez had remained with the Kilari crew, her medical work complete. She stood near a sensor display, watching the tactical situation unfold with what appeared to be professional interest rather than fear. When Velshaw looked at her questioningly, the human doctor simply shrugged. This should be over fairly quickly, she said conversationally. But there are 28 ships. Engineer Thixmo protested. Even with your advanced technology, you only have 12 vessels. Numbers aren't everything, Dr. Vasquez replied, adjusting something on her suit's control panel. Besides, this isn't really a fair fight. On the sensor display, the human fleet was changing formation. Instead of clustering defensively around the damaged Kilari vessel, they were spreading out in a pattern that Velshaw couldn't identify from any tactical manual. It looked almost casual. Raider Fleet, this is Commander Sarah Mitchell of the Galactic Security Enforcement vessel Indomitable Spirit. Came the broadcast on all frequencies. You are interfering with a legitimate rescue operation and threatening civilian vessels. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The response came back in the guttural language of the Krexhai pirates, translated automatically by the ship's systems. Human vessels, you are trespassing in Krexhai territory. Surrender the science ship and its crew, and you may depart unharmed. Velshaw noticed that Dr. Vasquez was smiling, and the expression sent chills through her body. It wasn't the gentle, artistic smile of her own species. It was something altogether more predatory. Commander Mitchell to all vessels, came the human's voice again, but this time there was something different in her tone. Something that made Velshaw think of the deep ocean predators that her people had evolved to fear. Krexhai fleet is non-compliant. Weapons are authorized. Show them what happens when you threaten civilian populations. What happened next would be burned into Velshaw's memory for the rest of her life. The human ships didn't charge forward like brave warriors or maneuver for tactical advantage like skilled commanders. They simply opened fire from impossible range with weapons that turned space itself into a weapon, beams of coherent energy that the Kalari sensors couldn't even properly classify, reached across hundreds of thousands of kilometers and touched the lead raider vessel. The ship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a threatening presence on the sensor grid, and the next it was expanding debris and superheated gas. Impossible, whispered sensor operator Waitala. The energy requirements alone, ... 3 more raider ships vanished in rapid succession. The remaining Krexhai fleet finally seemed to realize what they were facing and began evasive maneuvers. But it was like watching insects trying to dodge lightning bolts. The human ships moved with a precision and coordination that defied belief. They anticipated every evasive maneuver, calculated every trajectory, and delivered devastating firepower with surgical accuracy. When the raiders tried to scatter, the humans were already in position to intercept them. When they tried to group for a concentrated assault, they found themselves walking into crossfires that had been prepared minutes in advance. How are they doing this? Velshaw breathed. Dr. Vasquez was watching the tactical display with the detached interest of someone observing a training exercise. Predictive analytics, quantum processing, tactical computers, and about 3,000 years of continuous warfare experience. The Krexhai are using standard pirate tactics that we encountered back when we were still fighting with chemical propulsion rockets. 3,000 years? Velshaw's voice cracked. Humans have been fighting wars since before we developed agriculture, Dr. Vasquez explained patiently. It's what we do. Some species evolved to be perfect artists or philosophers or scientists. We evolved to be perfect predators. Everything else came later. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in 12 minutes. 28 raider vessels had been reduced to scattered debris or disabled hulks. Not a single human ship showed even minor damage on the sensors. This is Commander Mitchell to Kellari vessel, came the voice that was now calm and professional again. Threat neutralized. We're detecting approximately 40 survivors in escape pods from the raider fleet. Do you wish us to retrieve them for transfer to Galactic Council authorities or handle the matter ourselves? Velshaw realized that the human was asking her permission to decide the fate of the raiders. These beings who had just casually destroyed an entire pirate fleet were deferring to her authority as the ranking Kilari officer. We are not equipped to handle prisoners, she managed to say. Understood. We'll transfer them to a penal colony in this sector. Their raiding days are over. Dr. Vasquez turned away from the tactical display and began checking her medical equipment. Well, that's sorted. How are your people holding up, Commander? Your ships? Velshaw said, her voice still shaking. They destroyed 28 vessels in 12 minutes. How is that possible? We held back, actually, Dr. Vasquez replied matter-of-factly. Full engagement would have been over in about 3 minutes, but we wanted to give them a chance to surrender. Most species do once they realize what they're facing. Most species? How many others have you encountered? Dr. Vasquez paused in her work, considering the question. Honestly? We stopped counting at around 1,500. The galaxy is a big place. Commander and humans have been exploring it for about 800 years now. Velshaw sank into a chair, her mind struggling to process the implications. 800 years? But we've never heard of you. The Galactic Council has no records of humans. That's because we're not from around here, Dr. Vasquez explained patiently. We're from, well, let's call it a different neighborhood. We came here following reports of increased raider activity in this sector. You came here specifically to fight raiders? Among other things. We found that garden world species like yours tend to need protection from the more aggressive races. It's nothing personal against you, it's just how evolution works. Peaceful species create beautiful civilizations but struggle against predators. Predator species like the Krexhai can fight but usually lack the creativity for true civilization. We try to maintain the balance. The implications of what Dr. Vasquez was saying slowly dawned on Velshaw. You're saying that humans protect other species? When necessary. We found that the universe is a more interesting place when it's populated by artists, philosophers, and scientists instead of just raiders and conquerors. But you're predators yourself. Why would you care about protecting others? Dr. Vasquez smiled again, but this time it was gentler, more recognizably civilized. Because we learned something that most predator species never figure out, Commander. The best way to ensure your own survival is to create a universe where civilization can flourish. Beauty, art, science, philosophy, these things make existence worthwhile. We protect them because we value them. Even though you could simply take whatever you wanted? Especially because we could take whatever we wanted, Dr. Vasquez corrected. Any species can be a conqueror, Commander. It takes wisdom to be a protector. Commander Mitchell's voice came over the communication system again. Kilari vessel, our engineering teams report that your ship is now fully operational. Neural networks are stable, hull integrity is at 100%. And all biological systems are functioning within normal parameters. Velshaw looked around the secure area, noticing for the first time that the emergency lighting had been replaced by the soft, healthy glow of the ship's normal illumination. The gentle current was breathing easily again, its organic systems humming with renewed vitality. How? She asked. Human engineering, Dr. Vasquez said simply. We've had a lot of practice fixing things that were never designed to be fixed. Commander Velshaw, came another voice from the communication system. This is Admiral Chun of the GSEV Prometheus. We've been monitoring the situation and have some additional information that might interest you. And Admiral? Velshaw realized that there had been even higher-ranking humans in the fleet, beings she hadn't even been aware of during the crisis. Yes, Admiral? Our intelligence networks have been tracking the group that attacked your convoy. They're part of a larger raider confederation that's been moving through this sector, targeting scientific expeditions and cultural missions. They appear to have some kind of special interest in advanced civilizations like yours. What kind of special interest? They're collecting scientists, artists, and intellectuals. We believe they're building a slave workforce for some kind of mega engineering project in the galactic core. Your convoy wasn't randomly attacked, Commander. You